Hey guys, today I'll show you a psychological horror TV series named Enigma, Season 1. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The drama takes place in a high school where the teacher saw a female student cutting her hand with a pencil sharpener until it bled. Feeling strange, the teacher approached and reminded her to tend to the wound. Unexpectedly, the student suddenly screamed like a loud chicken at her and stabbed the teacher suddenly. The incident panicked the whole class, and the student was quickly taken control. Someone captured the scene on video, and it quickly went viral around the campus. The student, as if possessed, kept stabbing the teacher's neck with a pencil. Afterward, the school's explanation was that the student was under immense pressure and suffering from a mental disorder. However, student Fa suspected there was more to the story, especially when another student had another incident the next day in the restroom where she was terrified by the suddenly shattered mirror, and then horrifying chicken screams reached her ears, causing the student to clutch her head in agony. What's more, she then uncontrollably spread her arms and began dancing in TikTok style on the diving platform of the swimming pool, eventually drowning. The first incident involved the top student, and the second-ranked student. It seemed as though a dark force was targeting the academically gifted. Fa was ranked third in the class, and because of that, she feared she might be next. So after school, she took out her phone to secretly photograph the top student's desk, hoping to find some clue at the scene where the teacher was stabbed. Hearing a noise inside the desk, she reached in, only to be cut by a shard of glass. Before she could react, the new biology teacher, Ajin, quickly came in and covered her wound. Instead of taking her to the infirmary, Ajin wrapped her bleeding palm with a cloth. Fa worried about infection, but Ajin reassured her there was nothing to worry about. After he left, Fa removed the cloth to find her wound had miraculously healed. The bleeding had stopped, and it looked as if nothing had happened, something impossible for a normal person to achieve. Fa suspected teacher Ajin might be connected to the incidents involving the top two students. In the following days, she started to observe Ajin discreetly and discovered he seemed to have the ability to control insects. She quickly found her best friend, Nam, and asked her to join the investigation, but Nam was focused on studying for exams and declined. Undeterred, Fa snuck into the office alone to look for information about Ajin. She was surprised to find him undressing, revealing many tattoos, an unusual behavior for a teacher. Fa was afraid, but what happened next was even more terrifying. She heard a strange voice saying that naughty children should be punished, and it was clearly not Ajin's voice. After Ajin left, Fa also left the office. The security guard said it was too late and offered to escort her out, but as they walked, the guard began coughing violently, then, as if possessed, said in a strange voice that naughty students deserved to be beaten, and asked if she was a naughty one. He then began hitting himself on the head with a club, blood dripping to the ground, but he seemed unfazed by the pain. After beating himself, he turned to Fa. Terrified, Fa fled for her shitty life, trying to escape the school, but the doors were locked. The guard was closing in, so she ran in another direction. He quickly caught up and knocked her to the ground. Fa's glasses flew off and she was hit on the head, but the guard was relentless. Just as he raised his club again, a strong force pulled him back. Fa saw that the guard's ankle was caught in an iron chain. A man in red came forward and subdued the guard. His hand touched the guard's forehead, and the guard let out a piercing scream until he stopped moving entirely. The man in red came over to Fa and reached his hand to her. Just then, Fa suddenly woke up, only to realize she had a nightmare. But she couldn't believe it since she felt the dream was so vivid, feeling just as real as if she had actually been beaten. So the next day, Fa went to check on the security guard who was napping as usual and seemed normal. However, she still couldn't believe that everything that happened last night was a dream. She took out her phone to look at the recordings. After the top two students had their accidents, she had hidden surveillance cameras all around the school. From the recordings, she found teacher Ajin carrying her away and finally confirmed that last night wasn't a dream. Fa confronted Ajin for answers. She demanded to know what was really going on, but with just a look, Ajin knocked her out without hormone mercy. When she woke up again, she found herself tied up by Ajin, who was shouting that she should die and he would kill her. He then changed with some incantation and placed his finger on Fa's forehead, causing Fa to fall into a drowning scene. But the next second, she was back beside Ajin. This process repeated several times before she could finally see she was trapped in Ajin's house. After the exorcism ritual, Ajin explained that she was cursed, and what he had been doing was trying to lift the curse. Indeed, Fa felt her stomach churn and vomited some liquid, which quickly turned the paper black. It turned out teacher Ajin was actually a wizard. He had disguised himself as a teacher at Fa's high school because members of a black magic cult named Enigma were hidden there. The top 2 students were cursed by black magic, causing their incidents at school. Fa was also cursed, and Ajin's intervention saved her life. Ajin needed to catch the person who cast the curse and asked Fa to cooperate with him. Only then could she completely escape her doom. The scene shifts to Fa suddenly spitting out blood at night, and she found glass shards in her mouth. She tried to get help until someone appeared behind her, but to her surprise, it was her best friend Nam, whose sexy body was now possessed and harassed by many dirty hands. Nam called her out for help, but Fa was too terrified to offer a hand. The ghostly hand wanted to hit Nam's eye with a glass shard, but Fa suddenly woke up, only to find it's another nightmare. Ever since the 2 strange incidents at the school, her life had turned upside down. The wizard Ajin had disguised himself as a teacher to investigate, and after learning Fa was the next target of the black magic cult, he gave Fa a protective amulet necklace. With the necklace, black magic could no longer approach Fa. However, this made everyone think they were a couple. To clarify that they were not in that kind of relationship, Ajin could only claim to be Fa's uncle. He controlled Fa's mother and made her send a voice message to prove his identity. Fa was shocked by Ajin's abilities and angry about him controlling her mother. But her incessant complaints angered Ajin. He threatened her, telling her that he was not a good person and was only trying to find out who was practicing black magic at the school. If Fa dared to test his patience, he would no longer care about her life or death. Fa was intimidated and listened obediently to Ajin. He said that the person practicing black magic wasn't powerful. They were just exploiting the resentment of the students. He decided to split up with Fa. He would exorcise the school while Fa observed her classmates. If anything was amiss, she was to report to Ajin immediately. Fa was worried about her best friend because she had dreamt that Nam was possessed and harassed by an evil spirit, so she called her to check her situation. When she heard Nam was going to the music room, Fa hurriedly told her not to go in because the music room was also cursed. But Nam didn't listen to her smelly bullshit and walked straight in, only to find a classmate who had hanged herself. The hanged girl turned to Nam, scaring the girl to drop her school bag and let out a loud chicken scream. Fa heard the screams and rushed to the scene, only to find a classmate hanged by a rope, and Nam was so scared that she lost her senses. When Ajin arrived, he noticed a girl sneaking a peek behind him. He tried to chase after her, but she had already vanished without a trace. After that day, Nam was too terrified to return to school and opted to rest at home. Fa thought this was probably for the best, as it meant Nam was safe from harm. The dark magic seemed to only target those students who remained at school, particularly the ones with excellent grades. Ajin suspected that whoever was behind the black magic wanted to quickly achieve good grades, which is why they were attacking the top students. Consequently, he arranged for extra classes to be held on Saturday, hoping to draw out the perpetrator. Fa was in charge of monitoring the list of students with top grades, looking for anyone suspicious, while Ajin was there to ensure her safety. Soon, Fa received a message from Ajin, telling her not to turn around because a suspicious girl is right behind her. Frightened yet driven by curiosity, Fa couldn't help but turn her phone to look, and she finally saw the suspicious girl with curly hair and black clothes. She texted Ajin asking what they should do next. Ajin urged her to stay calm, reminding her that they had no evidence yet and could only wait for the perpetrator to slip up. After the extra classes were over, they immediately went looking for the suspicious girl with curly hair. Fa followed her into the restroom, only to be surprised when the girl covered her stinky mouth and hid her in a stall, reassuring her that she didn't need to worry and she would protect her. It turned out that the suspicious girl was also investigating the dark magic and suspected Ajin was the culprit. She had planned to confront him, but her knowledge of magic was limited to a few self-taught tricks. Fortunately for her, it was Ajin she encountered and not a genuine practitioner of dark magic, or she would have been in serious trouble. After clearing up the misunderstanding, everyone went back to their own tasks. The girl recommended several books on witchcraft to Fa, revealing her interest in the subject and that she had taught herself a bit. Seeing that she didn't know much, Fa advised her not to get involved further. The perpetrator using dark magic in the school might not be very powerful, but was capable of creating illusions that could drive someone to suicide. There was a chance the perpetrator had already noticed the girl investigating them, and if so, she could be in imminent danger. Sure enough, when Fa turned around, she found the girl lost control of herself and her face was distorted. Meanwhile, a figure in a red robe appeared at the school, manipulating a bird to crash into a window. The other students immediately started vomiting and fled outside, while the red-robed figure headed towards the academic building. Ajin sensed something was amiss and wanted to rush over. Unexpectedly, a stone behind him started making a dripping sound. He pulled off the scarf covering the stone, revealing a message that asks if he is still looking for the black magic cult Enigma. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind knocked Ajin to the ground. At that moment, the girl also fell to the ground, cursed by the dark magic. Fa quickly gave her the protective charm necklace she was wearing, and the girl narrowly escaped disaster. However, Fa herself was then ensnared by the black witchcraft. She began vomiting like the other students at school, experiencing a pain in her throat as sharp as a knife's cut. Fortunately, after 10 seconds, everything returned to normal. The dark clouds in the sky dispersed because Ajin had used his magic to drive away the darkness. He realized that the person behind the black magic was not as simple as they had thought. He urgently contacted Fa, telling her to stay out of this matter. However, Fa had already found the person in the red robe within the school. With just one glance, she was certain that this person was the main culprit. Ignoring Ajin's attempts to stop her, she rushed in, but the room suddenly darkened, and the red-robed figure vanished without a trace. Fa relayed what she saw to Ajin, whose expression immediately turned grave. He told her that the person in the red robe hadn't teleported or gone anywhere else. The person was simply hidden by a spell. Fa couldn't see the red-robed person, but that didn't mean the person couldn't see her. The one who wanted to kill Fa was standing right behind her, flexing her glass mask, yet Fa couldn't see her. Fa was under a curse that made her see only a dim room. If it hadn't been for Ajin reminding her over the phone, she wouldn't have known there was someone behind her. To reveal the figure's location, Fa had to knock over the paint on the table. The red paint spread across the floor, but it stopped moving when it reached the feet of the red-robed person. After confirming her position, Fa fled quickly, but in the next second, the red-robed person grabbed her tightly. Thankfully, Ajin managed to break the spell in time for her to see the figure of the red-robed person. Although only her eyes were visible, Fa recognized her identity. The red-robed person tried to silence Fa, but to her horror, she found she couldn't move. Ajin had arrived, and with him there, no black witchcraft could proceed. The red-robed person, realizing the situation was bad, fled in a panic. Ajin wanted to chase her, but Fa stopped him. Due to her intervention, Ajin couldn't catch the red-robed person. However, this also led him to guess who the red-robed person was. Ajin asked if the red-robed person was Fa's friend. Fa didn't deny it. Indeed, the red-robed person was her closest friend, Nam. She could never have imagined her friend doing such a thing, much less attempting to harm her. Seeing how upset Fa was, Ajin used a spell to separate her consciousness from her body, taking her soaring through the air. Fa was amazed by the experience and felt a little better. She then told Ajin the story of Nam. It's then revealed that Fa and Nam had always been very close. Nam liked to draw, and after finding out, Fa would often take her to skip class and play. They were very happy during that time, but after one exam, everything changed. Nam's mother noticed that her grades were dropping while Fa's remained excellent. She blamed Fa for leading her daughter astray and forbade their friendship. She even physically abused Nam, burning her with a red-hot hook. Fa witnessed this, but was too scared to intervene. Since then, her relationship with Nam had cooled, and then the incidents with the black magic began. Fa felt that the pressure from Nam's mother was too great, which led Nam to use black magic to eliminate those at the top of their class. Wanting to prevent Nam from continuing down the wrong path, she begged Ajin to save her. Ajin replied that even if Fa hadn't asked, he would have saved Nam, as it was clear she was a victim too, a victim of the black magic cult. If Ajin hadn't intervened, it wouldn't have been long before Nam would have met her demise. The very next day, Ajin paid a home visit to Nam. He wanted to have a talk with her, but her mother was suspicious of his identity. She saw her daughter as a well-behaved child who wouldn't do anything improper, and the arrival of a teacher at her doorstep was confrontational. She was aggressive in her questioning. Ajin was eager to go upstairs to find Nam, but her mother grabbed his hand and unexpectedly noticed the tattoo on it. She questioned how a person with tattoos could be a teacher, then picked up a knife to interrogate him about his identity. It was clear that the mother had mental health issues. She was overly demanding and controlling, likely due to her own struggle with mental illness, evident from her daily consumption of stress medication, which she inadvertently took out on her daughter. Under such torment, it's no wonder Nam was susceptible to the allure of the black magic cult, which is adept at brainwashing and recruiting members. After Nam transferred electronic cash to them, the cult sent her a package of black magic tools. That's how she was able to perform the dark arts. Seeing that Nam's mother was delusional, Ajin didn't bother to argue further. He teleported behind her and rendered her unconscious. He then proceeded upstairs to find Nam, whose room echoed with cries for help. Ajin thought she was in trouble and quickly broke down the door, only to find a recording prepared by Nam in advance, taunting that he should guess where she was now. Nam had come to school looking for Fa, wearing the glass mask. Nam intended to kill her. Fa had to hide under the table, but even then she was caught by Nam. There's a peculiar black magic that grants the caster everything they desire, but at the cost of their health and life. That's why Nam had to pay for the black magic at the cost of her health and chose to wear the glass mask to cover her bloody, distorted face. Nam was using this dark magic to eliminate anyone with better grades than her. Unbeknownst to her, the wizard Ajin was already on her trail. He intervened in time and told Fa to escape, but he was grabbed by Nam in his throat, who told him to step away from her. Ajin twirled his ring, setting up a barrier, preparing for a long battle with Nam. Unexpectedly, she used a blinding spell to escape into the woods, attempting to unleash a major curse. However, Ajin had already cleansed the area. Seeing this, Fa approached to comfort her friend, reassuring her that poor grades or being disfigured by black magic didn't matter. As long as she kept her life, there was still hope. If Nam continued to be deluded, she was headed down a path with only death at its end. Fa tried to persuade Nam, but suddenly Ajin's expression turned to one of horror and he asked who the hell they are. But Fa was confused and turned around to see nobody on the tree. Suddenly, Ajin was knocked to the ground by a gust of sinister wind. Fa rushed to help Ajin, but then Nam started convulsing uncontrollably, even cutting at her own hand with a knife. Fa watched, eyes wide with shock, but before she could think of a solution, Nam was tormented by the mysterious force and the sky began to shatter like a broken mirror. Ajin quickly stepped in to block the black magic curse, saving Nam. However, in doing so, he transferred the curse onto himself. He glared at Fa menacingly with darkened eyes and drew a steel pipe to strike her. Fortunately, Fa dodged the blow just in time. Realizing that Ajin was no longer himself but like a mindless zombie, she quickly fled the scene. Fa took refuge in the library, looking for a way to break the black magic spell. She had only recently come across this dark art, and her understanding was far less than the girl with curly hair. With no other option, Fa called the girl with curly hair for help, but before she could finish her sentence, she spotted a GPS bug that had been tracking her. Knowing that Ajin could manipulate such creatures, she quickly crushed it under her stinky foot to prevent him from finding her. She then found a new hiding spot. Despite her efforts, the cursed Ajin was on her heels. Fa resorted to texting the girl with curly hair, and upon learning the method to lift the curse, she didn't hesitate to slice open her palm. She then lured Ajin to the swimming pool where she had set up a formation. Once inside, Ajin would be unable to see her. She knew she had succeeded when Ajin started guessing her location based on the watermarks on the ground. Fa could then lead him to the diving platform, where she tied his feet and pushed him into the water, a method Ajin had taught her when she was cursed by black magic. He had held her underwater to repeatedly remove the curse. Fa chanted the spell, trying to expel the black magic from Ajin's body. However, Ajin was a wizard himself, and her efforts seemed futile. He was about to attack her when Fa remembered the principle Ajin had told her. Faith makes all things possible. Believing she could do it, she held firm, and it's her strong willpower that drove Ajin back into the water. Ajin struggled desperately in the water, but Fa did not rescue him. She waited for the surrounding papers to turn black, a sign that the curse within Ajin had been lifted. Finally, Ajin saved himself, swimming to the surface, but Fa collapsed from exhaustion. Before Ajin could help her, Fa saw Nam jump into the water. After the rescue, Nam finally saw the horrors of black magic and appreciated Fa's redemption. The two reconciled, and months later, the scars on Nam's face had faded significantly. Fa also convinced Nam's mother to let her study fine arts. Everything was moving in a positive direction. However, at graduation, Fa was still without direction, and Ajin was about to leave. She pleaded with him to take her with him to investigate the black magic cult, but he refused. He used sorcery to render Fa unconscious and then disappeared from her world. After some time, Fa finally found news of Ajin. He was disguised as a celebrity and mingling with a supermodel. Fa knew Ajin was not one to covet beauty, so she deduced that his association with the supermodel must have something to do with Enigma, the black magic cult. The drama ends with a shot of Ajin's distorted, scarred face, indicating he also practiced the black magic at the cost of his health, and the horror is far from over. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.